And while I'm running the solves on these hands, I'm generally taking notes. This is more of a personal preference. Not everybody learns in the same way, but I find when I write things down, it records it in my mind a little deeper than if I just run the sim, look at the output and say, oh, okay, next time I'm supposed to check that hand. Like, it's just, it's tough, and it's nice to be able to, you know, let's say once every couple of weeks, go back in my notes, look at all of the hands that I've written out, and it's important, I think, to write the notes for not just what your hand does in that situation, but what your range does in that situation, and how different parts of your range are supposed to react to what your opponent does, or where do you draw your bluffs from, or, you know, what kind of hands are checking here that surprise you. Write all of that down so that when you go back and review it later, it's like, okay, here's the hand, this was a sticking point for me, and here's what all of the pieces of my range are supposed to do during this hand. And ideally, instead of trying to memorize this crazy wealth of information, what kind of generalities or heuristics can I draw about these kind of spots? That's what I'm really looking for, because, you know, computers give us these crazy, complicated, precise outputs about how to approach poker, but our human minds can't keep all of that intact.
Well, we can interpret them incorrectly sometimes.
Right, that as well. We don't always know why the computer is recommending what it's recommending. So I just try and draw some heuristics up for myself so that when I approach play, I'm like, okay, you know, we've got this ace-5 deuce flop. I know that this is a board that's not a pure C bet. What are the category of hands that are checking back at some percentage?
Sure.